and we are going to continue to work with them until we come to a very positive resolution. It is very unfortunate circumstances. We do apologize. The City of Doraville and DeKalb County is working diligently to make sure that the water is restored and the water is healthy. And we appreciate working with them. They have done a fantastic job communicating with us, and we greatly appreciate that. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to CEO. Thank you.
Thank you. And first of all, I want to thank Mayor Pittman and the Doraville City Council administration for not only their cooperation and support with this unfortunate incident, but we have maintained a very positive relationship and partnership over the years. And I thank you, Mayor Pittman, for allowing us to host this press conference here at your City Hall. I just left the site where the break occurred. And first, as I always do, I want to thank the men and women who've been out since early this morning, first assessing the situation and making necessary repairs so that we can restore water service throughout our county and continue to protect the health and safety of the citizens of DeKalb County. They are doing a phenomenal job. They're focused, and they are getting the job done. And I want to reassure the citizens of DeKalb that as soon as humanly possible, we'll have service restored. Public health and safety are our primary concerns. I was alerted to the water main break about 5:30 this morning and immediately implemented emergency protocol. We opened the Emergency Operations Center, and you will hear from Chief Sue, our Director of Emergency Services here in DeKalb. We announced a boil water advisory for senior citizens, a boil water advisory countywide. Senior centers and recreation centers will close at noon today. We have shuttle services to transport seniors from centers to their homes. All in-home delivery of meals and services will occur as normal. No after-school programs at any of our recreation centers today will be held. We have worked with our partners at the state and federal level, and particularly with GEMA, and 8 water tankers have been directed to the county to provide water for fire protection and field chillers at our hospitals. GEMA is on standby to provide whatever assistance is needed as we continue to address this ongoing crisis. We will continue to update the media as well as our citizens and residents through our website, through the news media and social media, and throughout this event until all issues are resolved. The watershed is, number one, is busy. The watershed number is busy due to a high volume of calls, and we appreciate our citizens' patience as they try to call in water outages, and so that we can respond immediately. We acknowledge the impact on local business throughout the county today, and we will continue to update throughout the day. I want to thank Regina Wells, Doraville City Manager, for allowing us to use the facility as well as, of course, as Mayor Pittman. I want to ask Mr. Ted Reinhardt to come forward. He's over our public facilities and infrastructure, and to give you a more detailed assessment as to what happened, our response to the break, and more importantly, the timeline and expectations in getting all of the issues resolved. Ted Reinhardt.
Thank you, sir. As the CEO stated, we always want to first acknowledge our very dedicated water and sewer staff who are around the clock 24/7, keeping an eye on this system so that when something like this does occur, they mobilize quickly. So as the CEO said, during the night, we had a pipe break near Buford Highway here. It's a 48-inch ductile iron pipe, one of our larger sized water mains. The treatment plant began to notice that there was something wrong during the night because the demand on their system, their high service pumps, was growing and growing. So during the night, they notified our acting watershed director, Reggie Wells, that there was some kind of a problem. And then as soon as someone saw, we've got a large amount of water here on Buford Highway, they knew the location of the problem. So everyone mobilized, the treatment plant monitoring the pressures, the staff in the field isolating where the break occurred, And then what then takes a period of time is the staff in the field have to drop back and exercise valves so that they can isolate the break. They got to get the water shut off, and when it's large diameter, that takes some time. So by around 9 a.m., they had it isolated. That way they could get in and see what's it going to take to fix this pipe. And so there now you've got crews in the field ordering the materials and getting ready to replace a section of this pipe. And then the staff back at the water treatment plant in Dunwoody are now slowly getting all the pumps back up and rebuilding the pressure back in the system. So they'll monitor that throughout the day and throughout the system. They will keep Reggie and our staff notified as to when pressure has built again. And then we also have very competent people in the laboratory who monitor water quality, and they monitor samples from the system. We are under a boil water advisory per federal and state rules, and so we're advising all of our customers, of course, that because pressure dropped, before drinking the water, they should boil it just to avoid any risk that a contaminant might have gotten into their particular line to their business or house while pressure was low. So again, all of our staff, we really appreciate the effort both at the treatment plant, in the distribution system, and with the laboratory staff that know when an incident like this occurs, they mobilize and try to get the system back to normal as soon as they possibly can. Thank you, sir.
Chief Sue Leffler is over our DeKalb Emergency Management Agency. And Chief Sue, please come and brief us on steps taken to protect the safety and welfare of the county.
Good morning, everybody. So early this morning, as you know, when the water main break occurred, we started communications as soon as we were notified, especially of an incident of this magnitude. The 48-inch main does impact a large amount of not just our citizens, but our businesses, our hospitals, our critical infrastructure. So those are some of our immediate phone calls. We immediately make touch with the school systems to let them know the issues that we're having, to assist them in making decisions whether or not they are going to continue to try and bring kids to school, and the kids that are already at school, are they going to release them, or how is that going to happen? So we get them information immediately so that they can start making those decisions. We also start talking with our internal partners here in the county, police, fire, and many of our others, so that they can also be prepared to be without water through the day. As it was mentioned, we have tankers currently in the county and are having more en route to the county, so that we have plenty of water for fire suppression, and also to assist with the hospitals with their chillers. If their evaporation coolant starts to go out, that we can refill those so we don't have to evacuate a hospital. We also work with our universities, directly with the Board of Health, to make sure that everybody is aware that we have a boil water advisory, and we get that information out as quickly as possible via as many avenues as we can. We're working to get resources into the county as they're needed, and we also work to anticipate any resources that might be needed in the county. So if this were to be a lengthy, we start looking at how are we going to get water to citizens if this were to impact us long term. Currently, we don't anticipate this is going to be a long-term issue, but we are being prepared for any possibilities at this point. We did send out emergency notification through Code Red. Unfortunately, we did have a small issue with some folks who got text messages, and one of the providers only gives us an 80 count text message. So as soon as we realized that that was an issue, that the citizens were only getting part of the message about the 48-inch main break and the boil water advisory, we quickly sent out another notification so that they would get the full message. We are utilizing all our abilities to communicate: Facebook, Twitter, the county webpage, Nextdoor app, anything we can to make sure that everybody gets the message about the boil water advisory, so that we can take care of our citizens, businesses in the county. We'll continue to support Watershed and the other internal departments, making sure they get whatever resources are needed in this current situation. And we will keep everybody updated and send out further Code Red messages as we have updates. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Dr. Sandra Ford to come. She is, of course, the director of our DeKalb Board of Health. She's with us today, and, of course, obviously, health and safety are an important concern, and I wanted her to address the conference.
Good afternoon. The Board of Health, all facilities have been closed today as a result of the water main break. DeKalb Medical is still in operation, the medical center. All hospitals do have a spare water supply. However, non-elective surgeries have been suspended until the main has been corrected. We appreciate the notices that have been received from the county in terms of notifying students, staff, and other citizens about the water main break. We are hopeful that this boil water advisory will be lifted as soon as possible, but it is a safety precaution at this time to make sure that the water that folks are consuming is safe. Thank you.
Once again, I want to thank all of our employees. We have some employees here from our watershed. I talked with the supervisors as well as the men on the front line. They're doing a phenomenal job, and I just want to say thank you officially at this point. Also to Director Lumpkin, our Director of Public Safety, Chief Conroy. We had police officers on the scene throughout the night, and we appreciate that, as well as Chief Fulham from Fire. Thank you as well. All right, if there are any questions?
What is the best estimate your technical people are giving you as to when the water will be restored?
As soon as humanly possible. And we hope to have this resolved within the next 24 hours.
What caused this break?
I won't speak to it, but it's a structural failure. It was not an aged line. It was, according to supervisors on the scene, it's a relatively new line. So there was some type of structural failure. We don't know exactly what it is. That is a process that we'll go through to help to determine the cause of this and to see what steps might be taken going forward to prevent a massive break like this from occurring again.
So you said it's relatively new. What's the years? 5 years, 10 years? How long?
It's about 40 years.
Mr. Wells?
Yes, it's
Can you come to the mic, sir?
Come on. New, relatively speaking.
New relative to the rest of our system. It's a ductine pipe, which is more modern material in our system as opposed to some of the other materials. We estimate around this time it's approximately 20 to 30 years of age, which is not as aged as some of our other portions of the system.
So it was not one of those pipes that's scheduled in your big repair. This was not on the drawing board to be replaced.
Correct.
Okay.
What seemed to take a while for it to be shut off. I think we started making phone calls to Watershed about 4:30 in the morning. No one responded, and it says, Mr. CEO said, it was like 9 o'clock before we got it capped. Why so long? What took so long?
So this size line, being a 40H, is a major water transmission line that's coming directly from our treatment plant. So a line of this size, you actually not only have to isolate the inline valves, but there's also connector valves that feed off to smaller size transmissions. So it's multiple valves that you actually have to operate in sequence to minimize any additional potential impact that could occur.
Is the 24-hour timetable realistic?
Absolutely. And to be more specific, within 24 hours, we're hoping to stabilize the pressure in the system. We've already had the area that's breached isolated, and those only those businesses or within that isolation zone will fall outside of that 24-hour window.
How many guys do you have out there working on it?
We have approximately 20 or so team members at this time.
How much water does this line carry per second? Gallons per second, or how much does it carry?
Millions.
Million?
So
Not per second, but million gallons per day.
Right now, can you kind of tell us, you've got the water shut off, you know where the problem is. Right now at this hour, where are you in the restoration, the physical restoration of it? Can you give us a description of what's happening? And then secondly, do your folks have all the parts right now and delivered that they will need to fix it?
So first question regarding restoration. as it relates to restoration, what the main focus is restoring pressure to the areas outside of the isolation zone. That's underway now. We've actually began pumping more at the water treatment plant, which will begin to build pressure in the remaining portions of the system. Second question regarding material. We actually, it's a 48-inch ductile iron. We do have the vast majority of the material. However, we are in the process of locating some additional pipe that may be needed, but we won't know the full extent until we're able to safely assess the area.
Okay, so just one quick follow-up on that. Your technical people, they described it as some kind of a failure. It doesn't appear to be, it's not necessarily from it being old or from anything that somebody did. It's not human error. But so do you know exactly what that failure is, and you've got the step and the equipment to ameliorate that failure?
So not at this time, until we actually excavate the area and completely expose the damaged pipe, remove it and analyze it. Then at that time we'll know what type of failure and the potential cause of that failure.
And that is why you can't pinpoint when the water will be turned back on, because at this point you don't know exactly where the failure is or what the failure is.
So we have a location of failure, but we don't know the actual cause of that failure. At this point, we do have the area identified where we believe to be the only impacted area, but that's why we need to actually do more site assessment to determine the full extent.
And for the residents and businesses, you have a workaround right now, a workaround around that failure that will allow you to get water back on, you feel comfortably within 24 hours?
Correct.
And this diagram will actually, as Mr. Wells will look at it, will explain, quote, the workaround, Maury.
Okay.
Yes.
How they're doing.
So basically, what typically happens in any water main break, but this here being a transmission main, it's a line that comes directly from our treatment plant. You basically have valve isolations, so you want to isolate the damaged portion so you can begin to pump around, being that a distribution system is basically a system full of, it's a network that interconnects in multiple locations, so you can actually still pump water and maintain pressure with isolation in place. And that's the idea, and that's what we intend to have within 24 hours, have the system stabilized.
To affect schools going into tomorrow?
Let me answer that. I spoke with Superintendent Green early this morning, and just before I walked in, we had a follow-up conversation, and he has a 4 o'clock conference call scheduled with his staff. I promised him that we would update him at 3:30 this afternoon so that he can make a decision about school and whether or not it will be impacted on tomorrow.
Is there a standard SOP or maintenance schedule to check these other lines that are in existence currently?
As a part of standard maintenance procedure, we routinely inspect all portions of our system, operate valves, do a whole host of things, flush hydrants. We sample more than 700 locations regularly as a part of checking water quality. So yes, sir.
Mr. Well, you know the last time this particular pipe was checked?
Not exactly.
With the workaround, will you be at a lower capacity? Because you can't just have like 48-inch pipes all the way over the whole system. Are you working around, is it going to restrict the capacity?
It shouldn't. The only restriction and impact will be between that isolation portion. The system should relatively operate as normal. There may be some slight pressure impacts, but it shouldn't impact with a full isolation.
Just a quick question. So how many students total and how many businesses total? What mile radius are we talking about here total?
Don't have that detailed information at this time. That's something that we'll work towards, but don't have that at this time.
I think the school.
Can you just address that? How many kids?
Well, that's a question that Superintendent Green could actually respond to in terms of how many kids have been impacted.
What's the population that's impacted? traffic problems could be caused by this as well?
So the impact at this time is countywide. However, for its traffic, it's more localized to the Buford Highway area. Of course, it is a major thoroughfare, so it will impact. Yes.
Can you kind of walk us through what the repair process will be like? I guess cutting out pipe, putting in new pipe. Can you kind of describe what's got to take place?
So ultimately, the damaged portion of pipe will be removed. The foundation to install the new pipe will be built. Then ultimately, the installation of the new pipe, and then from there we'll begin to restore the water back to that damaged portion of the system. However, I think the pipe repair won't take a great deal of time, but however, the restoration to the area due to the impact of the amount of water escape the system actually be a more greater effort.
When you say restoration to the area, describe what you mean by that. What does that entail?
Until we completely assess the area, typically there's definitely damage to significant damage to asphalt in the surrounding areas, and it could be very well be some issues with Buford Highway that may need to be explored further. We won't know until again we're able to assess more of the damage.
Can we tell homeowners?
One thing I want to add, because I did have the opportunity to speak with one of the business owners that was impacted by water, and that effort is being addressed right now in terms of remediation, and any business owners who have been impacted either by the flood or other damage, we will make them whole. That process has already begun. I had a positive conversation with a gentleman out today on Buford Highway. Also, our workers are working mightily to reopen Buford Highway as quickly as possible. Any ideas of how soon we might get the highway reopened, sir?
Hopefully in the next couple of hours, we probably can have it open. We want to get you out to assess the roadways a little bit further before we open up.
So hopefully by rush hour, we'll have Buford Highway back open again.
And Mr. Wells, can we tell our homeowners when we do a report here in a few minutes, can we tell homeowners that as you do the workaround, is it likely that some neighborhoods will come back online sooner than somebody else and they say, well, my cousin's got water, I don't have water?
Yes, sir, that is very much so possible. Depending upon, there may be more air in portions of the system than others. That air has to be purged before ultimately water and pressure can be restored. So absolutely. The system may recover faster in other areas than some.
When you say 24 hours, do you mean from when repairing started or from now, 24 hours?
24 hours isolation, which was completely isolated around 10 o'clock or so. So around that time frame.
When the treatment plant started noticing water demand increasing, was the complete failure inevitable? Could they have done anything to forestall it? A workaround?
No, sir. At the point the line was breached, it was nothing that could be done at that time. The main focus was to isolate, identify the actual location, so we can then isolate to begin assessing the impact.
What do you think the cost of this is going to be to fix it in terms of dollars?
It's too early to determine. We really do need. It's too early to determine. We really need to assess the damage. The pipe work will be negligible. I mean, we're talking less than probably 60 feet of pipe from what we see right now. I believe the damage to the asphalt and other restoration work will be far more costly.
Yeah, we're very focused on restoring and remediating any damage and restoring the service to the quality that existed prior to this incident. I want to thank all of you all for being here. If you would like one-on-ones with anyone, and I'm going to call the mayor before we end. But once again, I want you all to continue working with Mr. Hudson, following updates. We have been giving ongoing updates as to the progress that's taking place. We will continue to do that until this job is complete. We appreciate the fact that you all are sharing the information with your viewers and readers and so forth, and we'll continue to get the job done.
Just one more quick thing on a comment you made about making businesses whole. Is that going to include both any physical damage to their property as well as an assessment of their average, say a restaurant, what their business is for that day or 2 days? Are you going to make them whole in that way as well?
You could be a great lawyer too, Morris. You know. No, what we're referring to is any damage to the business at this point as a result of the water that may have flooded. And I know that there are at least 3 businesses that were impacted by water. Yes, sir.
I have a question. This pipe was repaired 4 years ago. This section of pipe that runs through the shop, so they dug it out. Instead of replacing the pipe, what they told me at the time I watched this operation, they temporarily patched the pipe. They wrapped it. Now, has that patch come undone, and that section of pipe that should have been replaced, not replaced? Is that patch section the one that broke that ran through the shopping center?
Well, that's one of the issues that we are examining, and of course our watershed staff will do a deep dive to determine what happened, how it happened, and number one, what can be done to create a more secure environment going forward. Of course, you know, I was not here 4 years ago, but all information that will be transparent, and we will look to see what, if any, lessons can be learned from any decisions that may have been made previously.
But the point he made, it is that section where you found.
We don't know that to be true yet. Yeah, I don't disagree with the gentleman, but we don't know that to be true. But if it is, obviously, it's something that we need to pay close attention to.
Can you talk briefly just about how widespread the impact is? Because we're hearing businesses in Decatur, in the perimeter area. Is it all of the county that's feeling this?
No, it's not all of the county, but it is countywide.
So how far, you know, which areas have you heard that businesses have been closing because of this water main break?
Well, it has potentially countywide impact, but it's not every resident and customer in DeKalb County.
What percentage would you think?
Yeah.
Percentage of customers?
I think if it helps, it's the difference between pressure and being out of water. So as Reggie said, where the break occurred, they have to drop back, close valves, and isolate it. So the ones that are in the isolation zone have their water turned off until we fix it and can turn them on. That's the narrow area. Countywide, when we have 3,000 miles of pipe, so depending on where you are, your pressure may drop more than another. And so in certain businesses, it may have dropped enough that they can't flush the toilet, then they might choose to close. In other areas, maybe it didn't drop that much. They can still operate because we're under a boil water advisory, but they could still flush a toilet. So it's that difference in impact.
Can you estimate or give us a rough number of how many customers are out and how many customers are experiencing pressure issues or percentage?
No, because with 3,000 miles of pipes and all that differential, you have no way of knowing every single property's condition.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all being here. I'm sorry, Mayor Pittman, come on. All right.
It's okay. We just want to thank you, CEO, and DeKalb County, and we want to assure our citizens of Doraville that we will continuously update you on any changes. Also want to thank our Doraville Police Department, who was on the scene at 2:30 this morning and continue to be on the scene, working hard, and we do appreciate them, but just mainly to let our citizens know that we are in continuous contact with DeKalb and will continuously keep you updated. So
If one of your citizens wants the latest information at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock this afternoon, what do they need? Is there a phone number they should call? Is there a website to check for? Will you be doing updates on the website?
We will continuously keep updates on our website that we receive. Any citizen can always call me, call City Hall, and we will keep them updated on the information that we have.
And that's true at DeKalb County as well on various platforms. And Mr. Hudson, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, we're working with all the social media channels, also with the media. For the last couple of hours, we've been sending out updates about every 5 to 10 minutes. We will continue to do that as we have updates. The watershed call number is on our website. If you want to call in and report a problem that you're having.
Thank y'all.